Hello everyone, my name is Ivo and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. So glad you could join me folks, because if you know someone who is gluten intolerant, or perhaps you're gluten intolerant yourself, today folks we are going to make an amazing rustic artisan gluten-free bread. Yes, rustic artisan gluten-free bread. A bread that will remind you of the bread you used to have that was made with whole wheat, rye, one of those rustic farmer kind of breads. We're going to do it with gluten-free. And in case you haven't seen it, we already have an episode on an amazing gluten-free bread, amazing focaccia gluten-free, and also an amazing gluten-free pizza. I'll put the links in the description for you for those 3 videos. But today, folks, it's all about rustic artisan bread. Let's get started right now. So our first ingredient, folks, right here, I have 500 grams of flour, which is about 1.1 pounds. But not any flour. This is the Caputo gluten-free Fioreglut flour. Now, one of the ingredients is gluten-free wheat starch. Yes, Caputo has figured out a way to take the gluten out of the wheat starch. So this gluten-free flour is the key right here to starting a good gluten-free bread. Okay, to that, here comes our rustic ingredient right here, folks. This is buckwheat. Now, don't be surprised by the name, okay? We have 125 grams, which is 4.5 ounces of buckwheat flour. Now, it says buckwheat. It's got the name wheat in there, but there's no wheat in this at all. This is 100% gluten-free. Buckwheat flour is 100% gluten-free. It's not even a grain. It's a seed that kind of looks like a grain, and they come up with the name of buckwheat. But this, folks, is going to give us that rustic artisan flavor that you miss with the rye and the whole wheat. So that's a key ingredient, 100% gluten-free. And now we're going to add our yeast. You could use instant yeast or active dry yeast. So here is 1.5 teaspoons, which is 7 grams of yeast. So we're going to add our yeast. Let's just mix those ingredients together. The 2 flours and the yeast. Okay, and now we're going to add our salt. So what I have here is I have 1.5 teaspoons of salt, which is 12 grams. So I'm going to add the salt. Now we could add the salt after if we're concerned about interfering with the yeast, but we're going to be okay. We've got enough flour in there that it's not going to have an impact. So now that our salt is in, we're going to add our water. Here I have 500 grams, which is about 1.1 pounds of warm water. You want about 80-degree water temperature, nice and warm. And the last thing we're going to add right now is about 17 grams, and this is 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of, I'm using extra virgin olive oil, but you could use regular olive oil as well. Okay? So that's 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of olive oil, which is 17 grams. So now, quite simply, we just mix all these ingredients together. Okay, just take your time. We're going to get our hands in there at some point, but right now we're going to start off with the spatula and just mixing these ingredients together. Now the buckwheat absorbs more water than the Fioreglut does. As you can see, our dough is developing and is somewhat firm. Okay, so now I'm going to get in there with my hands and we're going to work this dough. Okay, now it's not going to come together like the dough that you're used to making because there's no gluten in here, so you just kind of incorporate it. You could use the pincer method by squeezing like this. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And get all those ingredients incorporated together. So turn it over, squeeze. So the whole key here is you want a unified, consistent dough. You don't want any lumps, or you want a nice smooth dough. So don't be afraid to work it. Keep This method works actually very well, where you just pinch it and squeeze it. You can see it's coming nice and smooth already compared to what we started with. Okay, now, of course you know what I'm going to say. When you think you've mixed enough, mix a little more. Can't go wrong, right folks? Okay, so I am mixing a little more here. It's nice and smooth, I can tell. I like the feel of it, so we're good. Okay, yes, 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 it is going to stick to your hands. Okay, so take that off our hands. Okay, there we go. And now, quite simply, it needs a little rest. We've just worked it, so we are now just going to let this sit and rest for 10 minutes. So let's just cover it up, give it a 10-minute little rest, and we'll come right back at you. Now that our 10 minutes are up, let's get our bonneton ready. If you don't have a bonneton, a simple bowl will do, okay? But I highly recommend getting a bonneton because they are fantastic for proofing and making bread, and they are not expensive. So what I'm doing here is I'm using some generic gluten-free flour, and I'm lining my bonneton with it. Because we're going to put our dough in here and we don't want it to stick. So, and I said I'm using generic gluten-free flour. That's because the Fioreglut is pricier than your other gluten-free flours. So rather than using that, I save that for my bread, my pizzas, my focaccia, and I just use the generic, less expensive gluten-free flour for this purpose. Okay, that's lined pretty good. So let's shift back to our dough and see how it's doing. 10-minute little rest. Okay, we are going to take it out. Now, a little bit of olive oil in this case goes a long way. I'm even going to put a little bit on my counter here. Olive oil is your friend when it comes to gluten-free. Okay, in fact, you can put olive oil on your hands when you're working it. And I think I'm going to do exactly that, folks. A little bit of olive oil on the hands. And you want to take this dough now and shape it. Again, it's gluten-free. There's no gluten in here, so you can't really work it. You just basically want to shape it into a big meatball. A nice big round ball. All right. I think that's pretty good right there, folks, okay? So now we're just going to place it in our bonneton and a little bit of gluten-free flour on top. And now, folks, we just need to wait. This is going to take anywhere from 3 to 4 hours to rise. So once it doubles in size, it's ready to cook. Typically 3 to 4 hours. It's 70 degrees in my house right now, so chances are it'll be closer to the 3-hour mark, and that's when we're going to fire up our oven. So here we are, folks. It's been 2.5 hours, and I can tell by the little bump here that our dough is doing just fine, and oh yes it is. Look at that. If you remember how much we had, it has filled this bonneton up very, very nicely. So you know what that means? It will definitely be ready by the 3-hour mark, just as I figured. So what that means is we're going to preheat the oven. I have a Dutch oven here. I'm going to put the Dutch oven and the lid together into my oven, and we are going to preheat our oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's move that up to 450. There we go. We're going to let this preheat for a half an hour, and by then our gluten-free dough will be 100% ready to go in the oven and start baking. Our 30 minutes have now passed, so it's been a total of 3 hours for our bread dough, and it is beautiful. It's filled this very, very nicely. Okay, let's get our Dutch oven out of the oven. Time for the oven mitts, folks. Okay, piping hot. just like it should be. All right, so I'm going to gently place this dough into this hot oven. Be careful with this part. I'm going to tilt it over and slowly put it in. Oh boy, look at that. Okay, now with a bread lame, I'm just going to score the top. 1, 2, 3 lines. That's all I'm going to do. That's going to help the bread rise as it's cooking. Okay, oven mitts back on. Now the lid goes back on, and we're going to put this back into the oven for 30 minutes. Okay, in the oven it goes, and we're going to cook it for 30 minutes with the lid on. Then we're going to take the lid off and continue cooking, but let's give it its 30 minutes. With our 30-minute timer now up, it's time to take the lid off. Let's take a look here and see how we're doing. Oh boy, it's looking good, folks. Okay, back in it goes. Lid off, 10 minutes. And we're still going to cook it after the 10, but we're going to switch over to broil so that we can darken up the top of that loaf. So start the timer, 10 minutes, lid off. Our 10 minutes have passed. Time to switch over to broil. We're going to broil so that we can, I got to remove my pizza stone or the broiling won't do any good. Let's remove some of this flour from the top. Just brush it off a bit so that we can get a little more color to our beautiful gluten-free bread, folks. Okay, there we have it. So, back in it goes. We're going to broil for 5 minutes and see how we're doing. We want a little bit of color on the top of that bread. It's going to be perfect. Time to take a peek, folks. 5 minutes is up. And yeah, we got a little bit of darkening on the top there. I think, you know what? We're going to leave it just at that right there, folks, because I think we have got a winner right here. Let's turn that off and take a better look at this loaf of bread. Oh yeah, we got some nice color here. That little bit of flour. So we're just going to remove that. We got we have beautiful color here on the top, folks. Very, very, very nice. I just removed some of that excess flour. Oh, look at this. Now remember, this is gluten-free, folks. This is 100% gluten-free. And look at the bread that we have there. My goodness. Take a look at that. Isn't that nice? There's the 3 marks that I put in. And let's take a peek at the bottom. The bottom looks golden, folks. Look at that. Golden brown, beautiful, beautiful color on the bottom. All right, we're going to let this now rest. Put it over here. So over here we go. We're going to let this now rest as much as I want to cut into it. We're going to let it rest for at least 30 minutes before we do the taste test, folks. But isn't that a beautiful, beautiful loaf of bread right there? Gluten-free, folks. Artisan style, gluten-free, nothing on the bottom. And I'm going to let it cool on this rack so it doesn't sweat. If you don't have a cooling rack, then a wooden cutting board is fine to put it on and let it cool. But it's still developing flavors and still cooking, so we're going to let that sit for 30 minutes and then the taste test, my favorite part. It's been a half hour, and if you can wait longer than a half hour, please do, folks. But we need to get into the taste test. But take a look at that bread right there. 100% gluten-free, you gotta love it. Now, if your bread does not turn out like this, if you didn't use the Caputo gluten-free Fioreglut flour, that's why, okay? That flour is one of the keys, but if you can find a flour that's similar to the Caputo Fioreglut, by all means use it. But if it doesn't turn out, that's why. So let's cut it this way, right across our 3 lines. We're gonna go right up the middle. Nice crust already, I can tell. Oh, I didn't cut. Oh, it looks so good inside. Folks, Look at this. Nice air pockets. We got a nice crust here. We're going to take a closer look at this bread, that's for sure. Oh my goodness. This bread, folks, looks amazing. Let's take a closer look. How does that? You can see the crust, you can see the air pockets, and you have to remember, this is gluten-free bread, folks. No more of that dull gluten-free bread that you buy at the store. And this one is your Rustic-Artisan style. Oh boy, I can't wait to take a slice of this. Let's do that right now. Yes, I am itching to get into this, but let's take one quick look at the bottom. I want to show you the bottom up close. Nice and golden. And then of course, our top, we darkened it up nicely when we use that broiler. So let me make a slice here. I'm going to cut one nice slice. Oh, wow. Wow. Oh. Are you kidding me, folks? Nice crust, nice crumb. It's still steaming, actually. Again, if you could wait longer, please do. All right, let's give it the taste test. Tell you what. That buckwheat gives it a little bit of that earthy flavor. Definitely different than your straight white bread. Full of flavor right there with the buckwheat. And now for our friend Judy, who likes butter on her bread, we're going to put a little butter on there and see how it tastes. Oh, on this warm bread, that butter's fantastic. But what a flavor. And remember how easy this was to make. It's a same day, rustic, artisan, farmer style, I don't know how to explain it, gluten-free bread. And with that buckwheat in there, you have not only the flavor that we're adding to this, but it's also heart healthy. It's good for cholesterol and sugar levels. It's high in fiber, potassium, and vitamins. So on top of everything else, it's so good for you. So here you have it, folks. 100% gluten-free, artisan style, rustic bread for all of those of you who are gluten intolerant. Or like I say, if you know someone who's gluten intolerant, put them onto this recipe. They're gonna absolutely love it. And don't forget those other 3 recipes. I will put links in the description for you for the pizza, focaccia, and the white bread. Gluten-free, of course. Folks, thanks for tuning in and joining me in the kitchen, the best place to be, on today's episode of Cooking with the Koyas. And until next time, buon appetito. The crumb is really good. Nice and soft, chewy. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect.